Media is changing the way companies manage employees. This presentation will provide best practices on how to manage company and employee relationships as it relates to social media. Former Secretary General of Civicus, Ingrid Srinath, once said, "You are a brand whether you like it or not. You're going to leave some impression in a person's mind. It's your choice whether you want to actively manage that impression or whether you want them to come to their own conclusion of what you think about you." The problem is that social media is not controlled. For example, in 2012, McDonald's had a Twitter promoted campaign called hashtag McDStories. Instead of posting positive experiences from visiting McDonald's, many Twitter users decided to post their horror stories at the fast food chain. In essence, McDonald's paid to promote a trend that showered the company in bad publicity. In 2014, Urban Outfitters was charged with exploring the outer reaches of bad taste after selling what seemed to be a faux blood-spattered vintage Kent State sweatshirt for $129. The sweatshirt was widely interpreted as a reference to the 1970s Kent State massacre, in which 4 unarmed students were shot and killed by the Ohio National Guard during a Vietnam protest. Many people took to social media to call out Urban Outfitter as being insensitive. Smucker's got a lot of flack last year for its stance against labeling genetically modified organisms, and a lot of people turned to its Facebook page to complain. In response, Smucker's tried to take control of this situation by deleting the comments and made the situation far worse. A potential solution could be to think of social media as an employee. Manage it with transparency, honesty, and forward thinking. Consumers are looking at a company consumers are looking for a company's social media account to be smart and funny. They want the accounts to be good conversationalists who will also actually listen to their needs. Essentially, your target audience is looking for your social channel to bring value to their lives in some way. These are similar qualities to what a company is looking for in an employee. Social media has changed the way we do business. In practical terms, it means that forward-thinking organizations understand the value in shifting from traditional engagement to progressive models by having open channels of communication, genuine transparency, and meaningful global connections. However, social media mistakes can and do happen to good companies, but by incorporating strict social media policies, a company can potentially take control of its online media reputation. Here are 5 things to learn from social media mistakes. Show the human side to your business. People want to see the personality behind your brand. Honesty is the best policy when it comes to social media. When posting videos or photos, always attribute accordingly. Humor used well can diffuse a situation that can potentially get out of control. Even the best social media plans cannot prevent human error, so just roll with it and hope your target audience does too. Monitor your online reputation so you know what's being said about your company online. Create a social media policy and guidelines for employees so they are aware of what they can't do in regards to social networking. No company is exempt from making mistakes, but how you deal with the backlash via social media will be your defining moment with customers. Successful organizations have embodied progressive communication by categorizing its social media into several buckets. For example, at Pizza Hut can be categorized in an entertaining bucket because Pizza Hut isn't afraid to use its Twitter account to retweet users' jokes and humanize the brand. Sample tweets have been, "Bye week, hi pizza." Zappos can be categorized in the rewarding social media bucket because it engages its audience to join them in like-like relationships. Liking them on Facebook means you get access to exclusive content. At JetBlue can be categorized in the good customer service bucket because it responds promptly to customers' questions and concerns, and the account is used to keep customers up to date on traveling conditions. But why is this important? Because as of January 2014, 74% of online adults use social networking. Social media is quickly moving from an emerging form of communication to the mainstream. So just like in the old days when companies had to figure out how to deal with email, now they have to figure out how to deal with Facebook and all other social media venues. Therefore, companies have to be prepared with a strong social media policy. Why have such a policy? Because employers need to be upfront with employees on what they consider acceptable social networking practices. What can social media do for my organization? It can form a policy that aligns with the company's values, which in turn strengthens the brand through legitimate practices. Who should the policy cover? It should cover everyone. Media is for everyone, so social media policy should be everyone. Where should you let employees know about this policy? You should let employees know about the policy everywhere, and then you should train them accordingly. A great example of this is Zappos. They encourage all of their employees to have Twitter accounts, and then they train their employees on the proper use of Twitter during new hire orientation. When is the right time to implement a policy? The time to implement a policy is now. The time to think about drafting a social media policy is now. Twitter is growing at a phenomenal rate each year, and that's just one networking application in the market. Companies are using social media tools to establish values in terms of marketing and branding. So it's time for companies to start thinking about social media in the same context as all other forms of communication now. Tips for a successful social media policy. Introduce the purpose of a social media. All policies need to address what is in it for the reader user. What should the reader take away after reading the policy? Be responsible for what you write. Be authentic. Consider your audience. Exercise good judgment. Understand the concept of the community. The essence of community is the idea that it exists so that you can support others and they in turn can support you. Respect copyrights and fair use. Remember to protect confidential and proprietary information. Bring value. Social media will more likely pay dividends for you if you add value to your followers, readers, fans, and users. And lastly, productivity matters. Remember that in order for your social media endeavors to be successful, you need to find the right balance between social media and other work. Takeaways. You are a brand whether you like it or not. Social media can't be controlled, only monitored. Learn from mistakes and improve based on your company's values. Develop a social media policy now. Share with your employees now. And train employees to use the policy, leverage the benefits, and proactively create a positive social media presence. Thank you. Questions?